The construction of San Francisco was riddled with obstacles. From its remote location to its difficult orography, the first Spanish settlers faced extraordinary conditions in order to establish a city in this territory.
It is a very peculiar place because it is a huge bay, but interestingly, the outlet from the bay to the ocean is almost invisible. So Spanish ships sailed past it many times in the 18th century, but they did not realize that behind it there was a huge bay, because the entrance is camouflaged by some rocky outcrops, and there are reefs that force the ships to stay away. The problem was reaching it by land. And that is where the Spanish really took the lead, because the famous Camino Real, which passed through all the missions, was the first to arrive by land, and they were able to found the city already knowing that the bay existed. So both things were intertwined. It was not worth it to build an expensive and long road if it was not known that there was a good harbour there. But there actually was. They had a couple of truly destructive earthquakes and a fire that destroyed the city, and they had to persevere a lot in order to rebuild it, right? You could go along the isthmus all the way round, skirting the bay, but it was a very long way, right? And that's why there is such an abundance of bridges in San Francisco, which are, on the one hand, beautiful, truly gorgeous, and great milestones of construction, and on the other hand, they are also emblems of the city, and people are very proud of them, right?
The bridge became the main tool that was used to connect the different territories, given the difficulty caused by the extensive orography.
The grid has a dislocation. It splits, and the axis that separates it is precisely the route of the Camino Real. So there is a strong link with history and with the desire to be the equivalent in the Pacific of what New York was in the Atlantic. They are proud of being the first ones who were there on that side of the world, right? Reaching San Francisco was a whole frontier epic, the conquest of the West, crossing the mountain ranges, and they had to do a huge amount of work to get there, especially with the railroad. The passage of the railroad through the Rocky Mountains was also an engineering feat of the kind that marks an era, and it truly took a great deal of effort. From there you have large bridges that cross the bay. But then, when crossing to the other side of the bay, where Sausalito is and the vineyards and all that very rich area begin, there are small inlets and large rivers running through the region that also require bridges. There is one in the Carquinez Strait that ACS built, which is a beautiful bridge next to an old iron truss. A very clean bridge, very well built, with a suspension portal, which is very good.
San Francisco manages to create its own identity from its urban layout and height. Its image travels the world thanks to films and series.
So it was a bit of an imposition of a grid which, instead of becoming merely uncomfortable, actually gave the city character. Because we all associate San Francisco with those gigantic slopes and how difficult it is to move along them by car, the bumps. We remember those wonderful movies with car chases around the city, with cars jumping over the crests in the streets. And all of that in the end generates a strong identity, doesn't it? It creates a great affection for the city, and especially also for the link between the dense city, which is what is on the founding peninsula, and the surrounding valleys, which are the places where all the major tech companies have set up, right? All this in the end is an economic treasure and holds an extraordinary potential, and connecting it brings its problems and also its miracles. There, the railroad has been slightly less present, while from the beginning they understood that they had to invest in the roads. And they have built them well, right? But coordinating that gigantic valley with what is the core of the city remains one of the key issues, right?